at stake. What is especially revealing is what happened when the researchers added one modification. They asked participants to think carefully about which task was actually more valuable before choosing. When people paused and deliberately considered the relative value, they made better choices significantly more often. But without that deliberate pause, the default was almost always the urgent task. The brain, left to its natural processing mode, treats urgency as a proxy for importance. The deadline, the expiration, the countdown. These signals activate a prioritization shortcut that evolved in environments where time pressure genuinely correlated with high stakes. If something had to happen now in the ancestral environment, it usually did matter now. That correlation no longer holds cleanly in a world of infinite manufactured urgency, but the brain has not updated its core heuristics accordingly. The neuroscience behind this connects to a distinction between two modes of processing that psychologists have spent decades studying. The first is fast, automatic, and reactive, driven by salience, novelty, and time pressure. The second is slow, deliberate, and forward-looking, capable of weighting future value against present cost. These two systems are not of equal strength. The reactive system is faster, requires less effort, and operates as the default under conditions of cognitive load, stress, and distraction. The deliberate system requires activation. It needs a conscious, deliberate decision to override the automatic response. In most modern work environments, the conditions that suppress the deliberate system are nearly constant. Constant connectivity, ambient notifications, and the implicit cultural reward for appearing busy and reactive. The result is that most people spend most of their working hours handling what is incoming rather than what is important. This connects directly to what Stephen Covey described in his Matrix of Time. There's a specific pattern in how most people spend their days that almost no one talks about honestly. You know what actually matters. You have known for months, possibly years. There's a project, a relationship, a habit, a conversation, something that would genuinely change the trajectory of your life if you gave it real attention. And every day, you intend to work on it. And every single day, you work on something else instead. Not because you forget, not because you are lazy, but because something more urgent arrives, an email, a deadline, a notification, a small problem that needs handling now, and you handle it. And then another arrives. And by the end of the day, the important thing is still untouched, and you feel a quiet, strange frustration because you were productive. You got things done, just not the things that mattered. This is not a time management failure. It is a predictable feature of how the human brain weighs urgency against importance, and understanding the mechanism is the first step toward escaping it. The phenomenon has a name in psychology: the mere urgency effect. It was formally documented in research by Meng Zhu, Yang, and Christopher Hsee, published in 2018, and what they found was striking in its simplicity. In a series of experiments, participants were given a choice between two tasks. One task was high reward. Completing it would give them significantly more points or money. The other task was low reward but had a shorter expiration window. It would become unavailable soon. Rationally, the correct choice is always the high reward task. The math was fully visible and unambiguous. But participants consistently chose the urgent task, even when the reward from the important task was substantially higher, and even when they were explicitly told the urgent task offered less. The mere presence of an expiration signal was enough to redirect attention and behavior, regardless of the actual value. Management, dividing activities into 4 quadrants based on urgency and importance. Quadrant 1 contains things that are both urgent and important, genuine crises, real deadlines. Quadrant 2 contains things that are important but not urgent, strategy, relationships, health, long-term projects. Quadrant 3 contains things that are urgent but not important. Most emails, most meetings, most reactive tasks. Covey's insight, which Zhu's research later confirmed with empirical data, is that most people spend the majority of their time in quadrants 1 and 3, while quadrant 2 activities, the ones with the highest long-term impact, get systematically postponed because they never announce themselves with urgency. The important project does not send you a notification. The relationship that needs attention does not have a deadline. The habit that would transform your health does not expire. So they wait, and wait, indefinitely. The urgency trap is further reinforced by the emotional payoff of completion. When you clear an urgent task, answer the email, resolve the small problem, tick the box, you get an immediate sense of closure and competence. This produces a small but reliable reward that reinforces the behavior of doing urgent things. Important tasks rarely offer this same reward so cleanly. They are large, ambiguous, and long horizon. The gap between starting and the sense of completion can span weeks or months. In a direct competition for your attention between a 10-minute task that gives immediate relief and a 2-hour task that gives discomfort followed by long-delayed payoff, the 10-minute task wins almost every time. Not because you chose it consciously, but because the brain's own reward circuitry had already made the choice before deliberation could weigh in. Understanding this mechanism suggests that the solution is not better willpower or more discipline. Those approaches fail because they attempt to overpower the automatic system without changing the conditions that activate it. The more effective approach is environmental and structural. Make important tasks feel more urgent without manufacturing false deadlines, while reducing urgency signals from low-important sources. This means batch processing reactive tasks rather than responding continuously, eliminating the constant interruption that keeps the reactive brain engaged. It means creating commitment structures, accountability partners, pre-booked time blocks that give important tasks an urgency signal they would not otherwise carry. It means learning to genuinely recognize the discomfort of an important but not urgent task as a signal pointing towards something worth doing rather than away from it. The deepest version of this problem is not about task management. It is about how you construct a relationship to time. The person who is always handling the urgent always feels productive because they're always completing things. But completion of small things is not the same as progress on large ones, and activity is not the same as advancement. The clearest signal that you have been captured by urgency is not how busy you feel at the end of the day. It is the quiet, persistent, widening gap between what you are doing and what you know actually matters. Closing that gap does not require doing less. It requires doing differently, starting with recognizing the invisible mechanism that has been quietly making the choice for you. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. Every week, this channel goes one level further into the psychology, shaping how you spend your time, your energy, and your attention.